You're watching Next Pitch, the student athlete playbook for parents raising tomorrow's athletes.
Hi, welcome in. Anthony Levrets, host of the Next Pitch podcast, and on behalf of my Emmy Award-winning producer, Jason Cardona, welcome to the show today. First, some housekeeping. Just keep talking about this. We have changed how the shows show up in our feed, and we've started a channel, and so all of the different shows that we're doing are going to be underneath that channel. So you can find all the different shows there, and we've got more to come. Appreciate you listening. If you like what we're doing, please share this with a friend and give us a rating. It's the best way to get this message spread and get us some more listeners to have a bigger impact. Today, I am joined by Marshall Haskins. Marshall Haskins is the district athletic director for Portland Public School District here in Portland, Oregon. Former vice principal, ran a nonprofit, was one of the most successful high school basketball coaches in the state of Oregon, Hall of Fame player at Warner Pacific where he played, and just has been on an incredible journey through athletics and has a ton of wisdom to share, both for players, coaches, and parents. Really enjoyed the conversation with Marshall. Hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Marshall Haskins, welcome to the show. Thanks, man, for doing this. I appreciate it. I know we'll release this sometime next week, but today we're doing this treacherous, getting in here to the studio with the beautiful Pacific Northwest weather, and winter finally has arrived.
Yeah, it has. Thanks for having me on, and it was a little sketchy getting here. The people in Portland, you would think today was the first day it ever rained.
I know. I tell people all the time, we can't drive in the rain here anymore, and we can't drive in the sun either. And both things seem to cause traffic. Either that or we just have traffic. We've arrived as a city. We have traffic all the time. Hey, a quick question. How in the world did you ever not get into television or radio? With that voice of yours, I'm hearing it in my ears right now, man. You have a voice for radio and a face for TV, man. How did you avoid that and end up in school administration?
I never even thought about it. I was always busy chasing kids, coaching, teaching. Never considered it, actually.
Well, the microphone loves your voice, so we'll appreciate you being here. Let's start with, you have a ton to add to this conversation, and such a unique background of all the different positions that you've held through your journey through academia and K through 12 education. But let's start with when you were a kid. When's your first memory of athletics being important to you? Like, when can you remember starting that whole athletics journey?
I think I was pretty blessed, Anthony. My dad loved baseball, and so when I had a couple older relatives who played baseball, and my dad always, like, my one cousin was like 3 years older than me, so whatever he did, my dad was like, you can do it too. So when I was 7, my cousin was playing the 10-year-old little league, and so my dad was like, you're gonna play. So they took me out, and we just started learning how to play baseball. So that when I was 8, I was playing with the 10-year-olds, just because I never did t-ball. I was just live hitting. And
yeah,
that was just something he did, and it was, when I look back, it was kind of impressive, because it forged a relationship with us, where there was expectations and the importance of practice and being competitive. All those things just gotta, I think, in hindsight, just were drilled into me. And that was that. Then I'd say the second one would be, I had never played organized basketball until I was an 8th grader. And
you mean you didn't have to start specializing in the 3rd grade?
No. I specialize in baseball, probably, but I never played. And so we had a school team, and this guy came from Pasco, Washington, named JR. And he's like, I'm going to coach the team. You guys try out. So we all tried out. And it was just our own little team at Boise Elementary, just our kids, no AAU club or whatever. But we got in a league, and we didn't know I'm not sure they knew what they were doing, but we got in a league with AAU teams at the time. And all the really good, supposedly good players played for this group called ASP, Alpine Sports Program, which is actually still alive and functioning.
What year is this?
This is probably, let's see, 77, so 81, 477, so 75, 76.
Okay.
And we played this team, and Anthony, they beat us like 105 to like 38.
Yeah.
And I recall just playing, and all of my friends thought we were all good. And clearly at that point, we realized all of us weren't good. I had about 30 of the 38. And I was like, I could do this basketball thing. Despite what everybody else was doing, it was just, I just remember playing them and getting just trounced, and then walking away feeling really good about what I had did, despite our team losing, and then feeling like, okay, when we see them again, we're gonna
get better.
Yeah, we're gonna get better.
Yeah.
We played them the second time and we got beat again.
Yeah.
Soundly again. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna work on my game. I can help those guys, and then those guys all. And then part of the thing that I really must have recognized is, when we went to high school, we all lived within like a 6-block radius, and we went to 3 different high schools. I went to the school that was 4 blocks walking to from my house, Jefferson. They went to Wilson High School at the time. They went to that 4 schools: Wilson, Benson, and Washington Monroe.
Yeah.
Right. And it was my first experience of, like, what are we doing? What happened to neighborhood?
Yeah.
Why aren't we just all together? Just kids growing up in the neighborhood, playing together and becoming lifelong friends through athletics. I didn't get that experience through my neighborhood.
Yeah.
So those are 3 things I kind of remember distinctly.
When did you start thinking about being a college athlete? When was in your mind that, you know what, this is something I want to do, can help me pay for my education, I'm going to play afterwards? When did that start happening?
So when I got to Jefferson, they were really good. We at that point, when they had 2 teams from our league go to the state tournament, and there was times where the state tournament would be Jefferson versus Benson in the state championship game, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So when I made the decision to go to Jefferson, it was because they had played Grant in a normal league game, and I got out of school early to go to the game. Skipped school, probably one of the few times ever. Skipped school to go to the game. It was a pretty hot time in Portland, so our games were at 3:45 in the afternoon. And so I skipped school to go to the game, and Grant beats Jeff in like the last 30 seconds. I thought the officials cheated for Grant. So they made me want to go to Jeff. And then they were talking about, and they were like, oh, these kids are really good. They're going to go to college and play basketball. I'm like, okay, what does that really mean in my mind? And then when I got to Jefferson, my sophomore year, I was a teacher's aide in the main office. And so I was really the mail boy. So I would go in there and I would put the mail in all the teachers' boxes. And I would see, Charles Bordeaux or Virgil Allen or Ronnie Ransom or Phil Hobson getting these letters. And I was like, what is those letters? And then I realized I thought that's how people got recruited.
Yeah.
So then I said, I would like to get some letters. And then it became a thing. How many letters can you get?
Yeah.
And so that probably was the first time that I was like, okay, I want to get letters. Not necessarily I want to get a scholarship. I would get letters, because if I get letters, that might mean a scholarship.
Yeah.
And then I say the next step would have been, I was waiting for all these letters for basketball, because that's what I wanted to do. I was a much better baseball player, but I refused to play summer baseball because I wanted to be at Irvington Park playing basketball all day. and the girls were at the park. So that's where everybody was at all day long, literally. And so it was like, okay, well, what do I want to do? I want to play college basketball. So everybody in the park, like, I'm gonna get a scholarship. I'm gonna get a scholarship, right? And so that's probably how I would remember thinking my first shots about thinking about getting school paid for.
That's cool. So you end up going to Warner Pacific, where you're Hall of Famer. Do you still hold all those records for the assists and the steals and assists per game?
Still, that says like the points were, on the average about 13 or 14 a game, but I also averaged 10 assists. And so the points, somebody passed that up, especially with the advent of three-pointers and how many people shoot three-pointers. It literally came in my junior or senior year in college. The three-pointer came in.
It was a bad shot in those days too, right? It was a bad shot. Boy, we could do a whole show on how the three-point line is changed from a bad shot to a good shot to a great shot.
Great shot.
So talk about so many kids out there right now, right, are in that same boat that you were in, that you just talked about, seeing some kids play somewhere, whether it's on TV, whether it's in their gym, whether it's in a park, wherever it is, and getting inspired to want to play. And most of the time, kids get inspired. They want to play Division I, right? That's what you see on television. That's what you know. And I know your experience was great. I got the opportunity to play small college basketball, but also coach at that level, and then also coach in the Pac-12. So I've kind of seen them both. And some of the best experiences I've ever had in athletics were at that small college basketball level. Talk about your experience and why you still think it's a really valuable experience for young people who aren't necessarily Division I athletes, but are college athletes and have an opportunity to be at that level.
Well, first, I think there's a misnomer that all the great players in the history of basketball, for example, played at Duke.
Right.
Scottie Pippen went to NAIA school.
Totally.
Those kind of things, right? So I think that everyone should strive to want to be D1 if that will what does to help motivate you to get up in the morning at 6 a.m. or to lift weights or to listen to your coach or to get grades. Absolutely. I think the reality is for every kid in sport, playing trumps everything. And when you realize you go D1 and you sit on the bench and then you drop down to NAIA or Division III and you play, you begin to recognize that athletics is really about the total journey. It's not just about whether I got D1, D2, D3, or NAIA, but it's about where can I go that I can grow. And I'd rather tell a kid to be a big fish in a little pond because what you do as a human being in that growth, you can't replace. Was I good enough to play at D1? Absolutely. Could I have been a pro basketball? Of course, I think I could have been a pro basketball. Right? But,
the older you get, the better you got to, huh?
Yeah, the stories get better. But I think I wouldn't have traded my experience at Warner because when the coach came and recruited me, it was like, hey, we want you to be a point guard. I'm like, dude, you're at Warner Pacific. I'm not going there. Do you know who I am? I'm whatever, right? But then he says, I'm not sure what anyone else has said to you, but I'm going to give you the ball.
Yeah.
Day one, you get the ball. I'm not sure what they're telling you. And because you played center in high school, I know you're a point guard, and I'm going to give you the ball. Everyone else is going to tell you, come. You might have to go to JC. You might have to sit a year or two, walk on. I'm going to give you the ball. You're going to play. How about that?
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, okay. Well, how much it's going to cost? It's going to be free. So I got the ball in. It's going to be free.
Yeah.
Or I can go somewhere and try to pay.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy decision. And then I think for parents, I would say, I hope parents recognize that all the time that we've spent, and I have some friends who've done pretty well in their life, so they create AAU teams for their sons, literally. And they probably from third grade through high school spent over $100,000.
So I tell people all the time, if you just took that money and put it into an interest-bearing account, you'd send them to Harvard, right? Like it's the damnedest thing.
So, and the second part of that, which is even more laughable to me, is you do that, you get to the kid's senior year, and no one's recruiting them at all.
I know. Or the kid hates the game.
Or they hate the game.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's kind of like it almost has backfired in what
Yeah.
we thought we were trying. So the motivation, my kid loves this, or actually I love this.
Yeah.
And there's a way for me and my kid to connect, and they play basketball. And there, I don't want to poo-poo AAU because there's some good things.
Totally.
Exposure, travel,
Totally. It has its place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like in the state of Oregon, we might have 5 D1 players on a given year, maybe 10 out of 300 schools we have in OSA, we might have 10, right? Well, if there's 12 kids on every team at 300 teams, that's 12 out of 600 or something.
Yeah.
I mean, the numbers just don't work,
Yeah.
right? But I would tell you, we probably have 200
Absolutely.
play college athletics.
Absolutely.
And then I would challenge people to say, is it better for me to go to Lewis and Clark, get my academics, get my degree, have a way to pay for my family, or is it better to say, I'm going to go walk on to Oregon State, sit on the bench, then I'm going to leave there, go to JC, then I'm going to go somewhere else, and I never got to play because I wasn't that good. And my identity is attached to I needed to play D1.
Yeah.
And now it's D1 or bust. That's just sad that we as a society haven't taught our kids that. And then the other part I'd say, Anthony, is it is so amazing the dissonance between I want to be Division I and what my parents did to help me become D1.
Yeah.
If my parents are 5'1" and 4'11" and chunky, I'm not going to be D1. That's just not happening, right? So when I walk in the gym, most D1 coaches, you're either a proven commodity with a very good skill, or you look like this 3-and-D 6'6", the 6'9" guy who can defend and knock down threes.
Yeah.
Those are your two choices.
Yeah.
If you're not that, and some reality that just
reality needs to set in, right? And your point is so good. I tell families all the time now, I coach JUCO, professional, NAIA, D3, mid-major, and high major, and then high school. I've been at all, like literally almost every level there is to coach. And what I really think is important for families who are going through the process is don't look at the D and the number or the letters associated with the level, right? You got to find out what's the university like. What's the relationship I have with the coach? How are they going to develop my son or daughter beyond what happens in the gym? What kind of development program? What kind of human being are they going to be when they graduate from this? They're going to finish. They have a moral compass that helps me finish the job that I started as a parent. You're handing your 18-year-old off to that kid, and that shouldn't be about the level. Now, if your kid's a Division I player, they're a Division I player. But here's what I want to tell parents out there that'll listen to this. You are the level that you are being recruited at. There's no secrets anymore. If your kid is a Division I player, they're going to be being recruited by Division I coaches. And so if they're not a Division I player, and now you need to start thinking about the development and where's the right fit for that kid.
Yeah, I think that's it. I told some families a couple weeks ago, the kids were on the team and they're squabbling amongst each other because everyone wants to shoot, everyone wants to have points, and they're seniors. And I think I sent them the article that was about Jamal Crawford's son. And he has 17 offers that he's a freshman. And I said, okay, here he is with 17. You're a senior. What's your number?
How many you got?
What's your number?
Yeah.
If your number is 0, this doesn't happen.
Right.
But what I would do, Anthony, is if I could, in a perfect world, say to parents, regardless of the sport, there's a dual track that should be happening. There should be what I'm doing to prepare my kid to be the human being you talked about.
Yep.
Adjacent to that is I want to utilize athletics to be a carrot to help me accomplish the goal on the left side, right? Instead, I think we get the goal on the right side is the most important thing. That's all we do. Because I would say if we're trying to produce our child to have a better life, a better experience than we had, or however you want to characterize that, And then we say basketball is my vehicle to help me get there. Within that vehicle, the question becomes what kind of fuel is it? Is it electric? Is it gas or whatever?
Yeah.
And then you go, okay, if it's electric, I know I'm going to run out of gas every 300 miles. I got to go charge. You build in for that.
Yeah.
If it's gas, okay, gas price is going to go up and down. I got to build for it. I got to plan for that. So what ends up happening is you and your kid are on the same page about what's happening. So when you say to your kid, hey, you got to get good grades. Well, why I gotta get grades? I just need to do enough to get by. Well, over here, this track I'm trying to get D1, you can't get in because you don't meet the NCAA. So now we're not arguing about that. Right. Instead, if it's okay, you could be. I had a couple of kids tell me they're going to be one and done. I'm like, okay, clearly I'm confused because you're not the prototype, so you're not one and done. But they were convinced.
Yeah.
Right? And them and their family made decisions. Think if I'm going to be one and done, here are things I got to do. But it says, if you're not one and done, what's going to happen?
And use for parents out there, use numbers. Statistics don't lie, and there's some really, really great places to find this. But just recently, I saw an article: 3% of high school athletes, and this is not just basketball, this is all high school athletes, play Division I. 0.3 play in the pros. You and I have a better chance of winning the Powerball lottery than we do of having our child play in professional athletics. And so the education that they get in that sport should be an ancillary part of the education that they're getting in school. And yes, the athletics can be the best classroom for life that you could ever possibly find, but that's what it really should be about. And if your kid is special enough to be a pro or a Division I player, then that's an extra benefit. But the real benefit is what they learn from it and the ancillary part of the education system that it's supposed to be.
Absolutely. And I've had kids that have played the pros. I've had kids that went to every level of prep school all the way up to D1. And I have my most proud moments are when the kids come back and say, thank you for helping me think about the other stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
Because now I'm an executive at Nike, and the things you were trying to convince me around, do I go to Lehigh, or do I try to chase some other dream, or do I play in Iceland, or do I go start my career? Those are big decisions that kids make. And what have we done to help them be able to make those critical decisions in their lives?
Yeah.
My nephew did prep school, community college, and then ultimately graduated from Cal Berkeley, which I'm very proud of him for being successful in that journey. Played 8 to 10 years in Japan, pro basketball. And at some point it was like, you know what? I was chasing the NBA.
Yeah.
I wasn't chasing Okinawa, whatever. I'm enjoying that. That's an experience.
Yeah.
But the reality is I want to have my family.
Yeah.
I want to do this. I had another kid who literally, I was an NBA talent, fit the profile, and it was like, everybody wants me to do that, but that's not really what I want. I want to help people. I want to, I want to do something different. And I think part of the journey for parents is, how do we identify who our kids are and what they really want? If you have a kid who lives basketball, or use basketball, and then I would be saying, let's expose that kid to everything related to basketball. You can be an analyst, you can be a data person, you can be a scout, you can be a coach.
Sports information director, marketing coordinator. There's so many things.
So let's get them engaged, and exposed to that.
Such a great point. That's such a great point. The ultimate goal is to play, right? But there's not enough of those jobs.
And those jobs are going to go away.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's still in that 3%. There's probably 2% of that 3% that's set up for life.
That's right.
After basketball.
Yeah, that's right. All right. So let's dive into youth sports. I know this is a really important thing for you, and the district that you cover has got more K through 8 in it than it does high school kids in it, right? And being able to use that platform to help kids. You've been vice president of SEI, which is a nonprofit that helps youth navigate the journey through high school. You've been a principal.
Youth potential realized.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, that's great. So vice principal at a high school. You've been a high-level high school basketball coach, won a couple state championships, and coached some of the best players this state of Oregon and teams the state of Oregon's ever had in the history of the state. And then now you're the athletic director of one of the largest district in the state of Oregon, and just this massive school district here. As you have kind of gone through that journey yourself, looking at the youth sports, the K through 12, the K through 8 journey, what is the value that youth sports experience can provide to a kid during that time of their lives of so much change, social change, body change, personal change, like all the development that's happening during that time? What is the value of being involved in youth sports during that time in a kid's life?
Well, I think there's several things. First, I think that, again, life's about exposure, and athletics are about teaching all those other things that last forever. Relationships, get along with different ethnicities, having the first shot at having adversity, choosing friends, making decisions about how do I manage peer pressure, because here's expectation as an athlete and here's expectations as a non-athlete, if there even exists. So with that being said, I think the earlier you can start that, the better chance you have to help kids grow into who we want them to be. There's some data out there that says like girls quit playing sports at the end of in the middle school, right? Well, I would tell you a lot of girls who quit at the end of middle school play 1 year. They weren't like they were playing, fourth grade through, and they had a really good coach and they had this great team bonding experience, because if they did, they would just continue just because those are their friends. And that's who we hang around. This is what we do, right? So for us, and now to take that a little farther for PPS, we see it as the great equalizer in terms of inequity across our district, by saying every cluster, every middle school kid will have access and exposure to it, sets us apart from every other district, because most districts are based on a parent creating an AAU team, and that's what their youth sport looks like, versus a systematic way of creating the experience we want them to have. The second thing is, for us from a district, is catchment. I pull up our volleyball numbers the other day at a presentation for some board members, and of our volleyball players in our district, 90% of them play youth volleyball for us.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so again, that's an important thing for metric for us about his value.
Yeah.
I can say
that's an amazing statistic. That has to make you feel pretty proud that has happened, because that was something that was not, that stat wouldn't have lined up 10 years ago, I'm guessing.
And our league has gotten better, because it's not, which the next step I was going to say, for us, it's not the first time kids are doing it. So when I first got the job, part of the impetus was I went to a game, and literally the high school team had 3 different kind of uniforms, but they also had literally 5 girls who had never played basketball before. And you could tell just how they walked up the court. They walked up the court. They weren't even running up the court. They were like, oh, they told me to come out and play. But that shouldn't be how high school athletics. Can't be your first time. Right?
Yeah.
So creating that. And then the last part for me is by trying to create some vertical articulation between, in our case, 6th grade through 12, now it's a community. It's all of us who want all of our kids who are girls or boys or whatever sport, the high school coaches engage, and now they can see this connection. And if you want to be a varsity athlete, here are things you need to do. And in order to be successful, I need you to learn this skill as a 6th grader, and a 7th grader, 8th grader. It takes the big thing and breaks it up incrementally so we can have success along the way. That's harder said than done, but in theory, that's what we're trying to accomplish with it. And then the other thing for us is there's never too early to get wells on your T-shirt that you're wearing around in your community. Athletics is one of the greatest community builders. Youth sports, I wish I could show you pictures. I mean, our wrestling youth every Monday, there's 800 parents at a wrestling thing, at our basketball tournaments, our track meets. I mean, we have, like right now, we've had to cut off youth track at Cleveland at 265 kids.
Holy cow.
Right?
That's awesome.
I mean, but again, because people.
I mean, it sucks that you had to cut it off, but that's amazing that you have that many numbers in there.
But people want to be a part of something, so it's something we can create for them.
And what's the value that those kids get, right? And I know, I like just there's some crazy data about women in the C-suite in corporate America, and I'm going to screw this up, but it's like 85% have played high school sports, and somewhere around 60% have played college athletics for women, right? But what is the data that if you're involved in athletics and in a district like Portland Public Schools, is there some positive data showing what that does to young people's lives?
Well, I think there's the two that I share. So our graduation rate for our for our district for high school, and I might mess this up, is around 85%. For athletics, it's like 95, 97.
So significantly higher percent.
If you play two sports, that's crazy. It's like 1,500% chance you're going to graduate. Which is great. Right? I mean, and part of it is, unlike everything else, you don't get to play sports if you don't go to school.
That's right.
You don't get to play sports if you're not on track to graduate. You don't get to play sports if you're not passing all your classes all the time, right? But because that carrot's out there, it just forces this thing that happens. The second data I would like to share is in school districts, they have metrics, right? That says, how soon can we determine if a kid's going to be able to graduate from high school? Is it ninth grade math? Is it freshman English? Actually, this data says third grade reading.
Really?
So if you can't read at third grade, the percentage of your graduation drops by like 80%. In our district, regardless of what you did at third grade, you're still graduated at 95, 97% if you play sports.
That's amazing.
So
because there's somebody to hold on to you to help you get through it.
Yes.
Yeah. That's amazing. That right there is the power of sports. This isn't about the D and the one, right? This isn't about what's on TV. This is about the power of change, the ability, and other things can change people's lives. We just happen to talk about sports, but that is one of the powerful things that a kid who didn't learn how to read because of something that happened to them that they couldn't control in the third grade happens to get involved in sports at that same age, their chances of graduating is the same as someone that learned to read at that age. That's remarkable. Yeah. We need to trumpet that out when we're talking about funding for youth sports. That is a remarkable statistic. So challenges. Obviously, the climate has changed, right? You and I didn't realize you were that much older than me, Marshall, when I asked you how old that was. I was born in 74, so you were doing those things you were talking about when I was 1 or 2 years old. But the not to throw shots across the bow here, but the ballot measure 5 happened in the state of Oregon when I was in junior high. It was on the ballot when I was an 8th grader. And so I was the last group in the state of Oregon that didn't have as middle school that truly played for my middle school, right? That was in ballot measure 5 was the one that happened in the state of Oregon, but it happened all over the country where funding was taken away from sports. And it was just going to be a temporary measure until we got our funding and our taxes in line, and we're going to bring it back. And all of my coaches that I played for in high school, every one of them was a school teacher, right? But from middle school all the way through, from elementary school all the way through high school. That is certainly not the case now. There are places where there are some school teachers that are still coaches, but that has become people we're bringing into the education system to be a part of the education system to coach young people. And then you have this club environment that, because of the vacuum that was created by these kinds of lack of funding, you have the club environment. And while there are places for club, it is sort of replaced or competing with the school environment. What challenges do you face as a district, do other districts face with the funding and the different messaging that parents are getting around sports at that age? I don't know if I framed that question the right way, but I think there's major challenges to continuing to get the outcome that you just described that is so important. What are the challenges that you're facing to make sure that that continues to happen?
Well, I think the big one is funding, and I think that the state clearly is looking at the model right now, because every district in Oregon is facing financial crisis, some greater than others. I think that you kind of nailed on the head. There's the funding. There's parents with the capacity to supplement what they're not getting through our current system, and then that could be as great as don't even play high school. A big thing right now is do online and work on your game half the day, every day.
I'm actually having the largest online school in the country, I believe. That's their massive online school that specializes in high-level athletes. We're having them on to have the conversation. Yeah. So I don't know how much I agree with almost everybody that we talk to. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. I mean, I'm fascinated to have them on the show. So it's just kind of this new thing that's going on.
You have the capacity to go, you know what, I don't want to deal with this perceptive, archaic system that's not working for us. Let's go do this other thing.
Yeah.
Right? And then you have Nike, or not Nike, but I guess Nike has EYBL, but you have these high school leagues now that have prep schools.
Yeah.
All the best kids are migrating to these places. And so it continues to diminish what we can offer through our high schools, which is what we grew up with, is your coach was
my history teacher,
the person. Right?
Yeah, they were my guys. I loved them.
And when I got my job, we were probably 75% teachers, and we're probably 50-50 now, maybe. Right? But those issues are real. Funding, other people wanting to provide it, and then sharing that. Back to our part of our earlier conversation, if I want to be D1, then my AAU coach, my 707 coach, are promising me that if you want to be D1, you got to specialize.
It's a lie.
It's a lie.
Yeah.
So
they might believe it. It might not be a lie. They might actually believe it. It's a myth. It is not true that you need to specialize in the 5th grade to be a Division I athlete.
Here's what I would say. Again,
in fact, the opposite is true.
The opposite is true.
Yeah.
Because again, your parents gave you the greatest opportunity. And so again, if I'm 5'1", 240, I mean,
you might be a great bowler. There's bowling scholarships.
Yeah, there is. But I could be in the gym all day. It still won't make me 6'3".
No.
It's just that, right? So but those are the big things that I see out there. And how do you mitigate those, Anthony? It's like for us, we're a little unique that we're able to have our foundation, and we fundraise and try to do some things to close some of those gaps. You have conversations with your athletic directors who could have them with the parent groups about how do we educate parents. We have through our foundation, have a program called Post-High School. We have a post-high school coordinator who's helped kids and families find places to play sports if they don't get that D1 scholarship. You educate counselors, but the biggest part is you have to educate your school district on the value of athletics. And once the value is there's a congruence in the value, I think that then you can build ways to make sure you cover the things that are missing, but also the educational opportunity for your parents and your community. I was in a group yesterday with Positive Coaching Alliance, and we're talking about NIL deals.
Yeah.
For high school.
It's crazy that we're having that conversation, but we are. Yeah.
I mean, literally the two things that came out of it was the Jesuit AD was on, and they've had 27 kids that are high D1 or Major League Baseball players. And he goes, we don't have that many NIL players here. Perception is they have every player there is an NIL deal, right? So everybody's like, I got to go to Jesuits, I get this NIL deal. Or the street agents like, Anthony, I can get you an NIL deal if you come to my school. Well, Anthony, the truth of the matter is we have some schools that are giving parents and kids things to come to their high schools.
Totally.
Right? And that's a real issue that we're facing. And if we don't address it, it's just going to crush our system. And then I want to go circle back to when you asked me the value of high school. Even if you siphon off the top 3%. So we had a prep school in Oregon, and all the best players supposedly went and played for that prep school. We still had high school athletics.
Yeah.
We still had a state tournament.
Yeah.
Community still got together.
Yeah.
I mean, so what high school athletics give you doesn't swing on Shaq playing on my team.
Yeah.
It swings on us having 12 players out there having experience.
Yeah.
And if we're talking about the impact it has, our focus should be on those 12 that's there, and maybe not so much on the ones who kind of got away.
I want to talk to coaches real quick. I know it's one of those things in a district like yours, especially with so many kids, that you're constantly trying to get people involved, right? To coach your youth sports, and how do you recruit them to come in? How do you get people in? And so you don't get the pick of the litter all the time, right? You got to take people and bless them for volunteering and coming in to do the job. But across the country, it's the same way, right? And whether that's in the school systems or in the club systems, I've watched unqualified coaches. And by unqualified, I don't mean that they don't know necessarily X's and O's. That might be part of it, but it's how to communicate with young people and the damage that can occur from not having the emotional control to handle the winning or the losing or the frustration that comes with sports, and the anger that comes out at young people. I've watched it over and over again. As an administrator, as a former coach, all the things that you've done, what message would you give to coaches who are getting involved in the game, or you're in the game and you have people that are leaving your program, you don't understand why? What kind of message would you give them of the impact that their words and their actions and their leadership and the way that they conduct themselves has on that young mind and that young person and that young soul that is in their program?
Well, Anthony, I'm an interesting person because I think I can't force you to do anything. You have to want to do it. And my big strategy I try to use is just ask questions. And so I will start with, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Are you doing this to win the 6th grade national championship of Oregon? I mean, what are we doing?
Right.
Because if I stop and think about, and you're laughing,
the 6th grade national championship of Oregon. I've seen that coach. I know that's the person I'm talking about.
And so to me, when you stop and ask those questions and you really drill down, they go, I want best for these kids.
Yeah.
And so I'm coaching them to, okay, but actually you're crushing them.
Yeah.
Right. But what do you mean? And then you walk through, and then, it's kind of like coaches on the sideline who rant and rave the whole game.
Yeah.
They go, I stop, ask questions. What are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah.
Well, the refs are stop. What do we pay you to do?
Yeah.
To coach the kids. So at the timeout, you scream the whole time at that, who's coaching your kids?
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean? So first thing I would do is try to help them identify their why. Why are we really doing this? And then I say the second thing is, and part of what we try to say in that vertical articulation of youth is, what's our plan? I think when someone has a plan, they have a better chance of accomplishing that plan. When you don't have a plan, you're just on your own. You're figuring out as you go, and then you get emotional because sports are emotional.
Yep.
You feel like the refs are good or bad. The parents are screaming at you. The kids are not listening to you because they're 12 and they don't listen, right? Some kids have different special needs, and you don't understand that. And all of a sudden, there's this combustible moment versus, here's our plan. At 6th grade, we got to make sure everyone knows what a 2-3 zone is. So everybody can shoot it.
I want to drill down on this. I think this is so important, Marshall. This is so important and this is where the education system, teachers being coaches, has kind of really changed how youth athletics looks, right? Because teachers have to have a lesson plan. They have to have a year-long plan. They have to have their 4 quarters or whatever the segments are for them, right? They've got to be able to put that in place. Then they got to be able to build lesson plans to get to where they want to get to by the end of the year. And that's what coaching is as well. But if you haven't been in that education system, you may or may not understand that you need to do that. And you just show up and do drills for the sake of doing drills. And I would just scream from the mountaintops, the coaching profession loves to help, Like if anybody ever reaches out to me and asks me, hey, I want some help coaching my team, can you show me how to build a season? Go find someone to help you. If you don't know how to do it and you've been asked to coach your daughter's 4th grade basketball, soccer, baseball, whatever that is, go find some help to learn how to build that plan. What does a season-long plan look like? What does the beginning of practice look like? What are the key fundamental components that those kids need to learn to be at the end of the year to have had success? And how do I build that into my daily practice? And then what's the system that we're going to run? How do I learn how to build that? Like, go find that out.
And I'd say, Anthony, if we look across high school athletics, the programs that are good all the time.
Yeah.
Because they have what you just said.
That's right.
So you're right, part of the erosion of high school sports is we went from you have to be a teacher to we just got to get anybody who wants to do it.
We got to fill the job.
And then when you drop down to youth, that's even worse because it's like, well, I'll volunteer to coach my daughter's 5th grade team, but I never play basketball.
Yeah.
I watch Duke play. We're going to play like Duke.
Yeah.
But you don't know the drills Duke does in practice. So you just can't do that.
And you don't got Duke's guys.
You don't got Duke guys. So all of that's true. And so if I go back to, why you're doing what you're doing, you have a plan, and then in your plan, you have ways to measure what you're doing. I think that's how we begin to change the landscape. I think that the professional development that you mentioned is important. Because if you have a plan and then you go like we call it everyday drills, EDDs. If you go to a professional development and that person says, hey, you have to have EDDs and you don't have them, now you put them in and you get better.
Yeah.
But if you never go anywhere to learn that's important, you just start yelling at kids more.
Yeah, that's right.
One of my classics is block out.
Yeah.
Do we ever do a blockout drill?
Yeah. Or what are we doing? Yeah. Like, what are you doing is the worst question to ask a kid in the middle of a game. Right. Because what they're doing is what they've been taught. 100% what they do on the floor is what they've been taught to do. And I really just, it's amazing how many high school practices I went to when I was coaching and then being in part of high school athletics for 4 years, that how many people don't have a practice plan, right? Like just a practice plan, and not that is the end all be all, but if you don't have one, you don't know that you're supposed to have one. And that is just the bare minimum of go learn, go seek out. If you're a 6th grade basketball coach, go seek out the best basketball coach in your state. Call them and ask them, will you give me 30 minutes of your time to give me some ideas about how it's supposed to look like when I'm doing this?
And I think that's so important. And what I would hope is that athletic directors are set up systems to say, hey, kind of like a teacher, an administrator, we go by and do formal and informal evaluations all the time. We're not just going to hope you're teaching math. We're going to walk in and see, do you got learning targets on the wall? Yeah. Well, ADs should go and say, hey, where's your practice plan?
Yeah.
Give it to me for the week. Because I think when you were coaching for us, I said, hey, you know what? This is the deficit for us. I need everyone's practice plan. I remember you going, what? What are you talking about? Practice plan? How insulting. I was like, Anthony, guess what? Everybody did coach a D1 guy, so they don't have practice plan. It's just kind of.
I'll never forget that email. I was just stunned. Yeah. That was the kind of the beginning for me of like, people don't have a practice plan. Would you, I mean, I'm happy to share mine so anyone can look at what it looks like, right? And it's not just a plan for that day, it's a plan for the year, and that's a whole different conversation. But the idea that you don't, it's not the person's fault that's doing it, right? They're doing a job, and they just realize that you're probably really good in your day-to-day job, right? Dad or mom who's coaching, that you're an engineer. You know what you're doing because you went through engineering school, and there's a process to get to that point. The same thing is true for coaching a basketball team. And so make sure that you're not going to go through engineering school or basketball coaching school, but you can get some fundamentals down to make it better for your kids.
And I would, the second part of my answer is, if we start with the premise that you don't know, then we're going to say, here's what everyone needs to do, right? So when you sign up, you're just doing this list of things, right? Well, what happens is people go, oh, I got to do 8 things to make $1,500. I'm not doing those 8 things.
That's right.
That's
right.
Anything,
That's right.
And I'll just steal all the good players and win the 6th grade national championship award, right?
Yeah.
Versus finding the right people. One of my favorite people is this guy named Craig Rucker, who's one of the greatest football coaches in the history of Oregon. I think he coached 40-something years. And I had him do a presentation to our football coaches about just what a great football program looks like. So rather than hope they get the PD, I've just forced you got to take it. And so what he said to me, he goes, there's some pretty simple things you got to have a good program. The number one is you got to have someone who loves kids. And that was just so weird to me. It's like, why would you coach if you don't love kids?
Yeah.
He goes, there's a lot of people who coach don't love kids.
That's right.
And coach for the wrong reasons.
That's right.
So part of it is who you have. And then the second thing, it was funny to me. It was like, do you have a calendar for parents? So they know everything that's going on the whole. I'm like, well, what are you talking about? I tell my parents 3 days in advance what we're doing. He goes, well, what if they want to go on vacation? I don't care. The kid better be here. Why would you put that? And when he broke down 4 or 5 things that were so elementary.
Mm-hmm.
But again, he was a teacher for 40 years. This is just how he thinks. So that's what it is. And to now recognize that we give people a team of kids and we hope they're all going to do the right thing because we would do the right thing versus assuming they're not and then building a plan for them. And I think if you give someone a plan, you can say, hey, Anthony, here's what we do here. If they choose not to do that, you get someone else.
That's right.
But if you don't give them a plan, half the time you're going to spend, why are you doing that?
That's right.
Why aren't you doing this or that? So.
Well, I think that's a great place to end this conversation, Marshall. This is, I could talk to you all day about this. And you and I have sometimes talked all day about this over the course of our relationship. I appreciate you coming in and having the conversation. Before we end this, we do last 2 things with everybody that comes in here. First thing, you can go back in time to that 13, 14-year-old Marshall Haskins, tap him on the shoulder with everything that you've been through in life and gone through the backwards vision here, right? What advice would you give yourself knowing the journey that you've been on?
Have more fun.
Have more fun.
And I say that because I think Malcolm Gladwell has a book of 10,000 hours or something like that you got to do.
Yeah.
I'd say I probably did 10,000 hours on basketball, but I don't think I had fun doing it. And I don't think I was doing the right stuff in my 10,000 hours. I was playing rat ball at the park versus working on, here are these specific skills I need to get better at, right? So having fun and being very specific about how I'm spending my 10,000 hours.
That's good stuff. Have fun. I wish I could go back and tell myself that too. It's amazing how much we miss when we're so worried about the next thing that we forget to have fun with what we just did. If I ever go back and coach again, which I don't know if that's ever going to happen or not, but if I ever did, I would be way better at enjoying the moments and having fun with what I was doing. It's not a skill set that coaches and athletes develop for some reason because of the competition and what's coming next. But I think if we could, our lives would be a lot better. I'd probably still be coaching.
Well, if you think about this, Anthony, state tournaments happening right now, and I'm watching all these teams did summer league and fall league and illegal league.
No way.
And the game comes down to a loss at the buzzer.
Yeah.
In the round of 16.
Yeah.
Did I just have an unsuccessful season?
No,
I didn't.
No.
But you know why I think I did? Because what I was measuring wasn't winning the state championship.
Yeah.
It should have been measuring my kids.
Yeah.
It should have been measuring the experiences.
Progress.
Thinking through, man, look at the experience we had. And even when we lost that last game, am I in the locker room throwing chairs? Or am I going, I'm hugging my kids and I'm loving them up and saying how great this year was and look what we accomplished. Instead, I hate to use a team, but Benson beat Southridge.
Yeah.
Which was a major upset.
Major 17-1.
17-1, major upset, right? And I know if I'm the Southridge coach, I thought I was going to win state.
Yeah. I watched them play their good basketball team.
Was my season a total failure? Absolutely not. No. But I'm sure that's how they're viewing it right now.
Yeah. Have fun in the good moments because the bad one's right around the corner as far as if you're winning and losing. is something that you care about. Have fun in the good moments. All right, Marshall, last thing, dad joke or dad whatever you got for dads. I had another coach in here, Coach Corey, the Lake Oswego football coach, ended up telling me a story that was freaking hilarious too. But go ahead. What do you got for me?
So, as I said, I was a really good baseball player. My dad coached me, and we're playing a game. The bases are loaded. I think I already hit a home run, so I'm really good. The bases loaded, 2 out, bottom of the 6th inning. I think I'm 12, and I strike out. You strike out, that happens, right? It just happens.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm really good at it.
Did you strike out swinging or did you strike out looking?
I struck out swinging.
Okay.
I think it was a curveball or something.
Okay.
Anyway, I struck out.
Okay.
And so the game gets over. We walk through and do our little daps. And then we get ready to get in our circle of talk. And then when we finish, he goes, hope you can get home. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, I hope you get home.
This is your dad.
Because you struck out the base loaded. Hope you get home. And so I turned to my mom, like, Mom, and she goes, hope you get home. It was like, so I never struck out again with the bases loaded because I'm going to get hit by the pitch.
And that's why you want to go back and learn how to have more fun, right?
Like, what the heck is happening here? We laughed about it, but for me it was funny. Now it wasn't funny.
Oh, it's hilarious.
But yeah, it was funny then.
Good stuff. All right, Marshall. Well, thank you so much. I know you're going to go back to the state tournament today and watch some games. Yeah. If you can navigate through the river that is our roads and freeways out there. Really appreciate you coming in and look forward to continue this conversation both, again, in the future and offline like we normally do.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, man. Welcome back. Just finished up my interview with Marshall Haskins. Big thanks to Marshall for coming, braving the weather. The day we're shooting this here in Portland is the rain is coming down. We lost some power, trees all over the place. Freeway looks like a river. Marshall made it into the studio, and it was great to have him in here to do the show. A ton of good stuff. And I think, the couple things I want to drill down on that he talked about that I really, really think is important is some of the data around how important athletics is to young people. And this is why we're doing this. There's a lot of doom and gloom around the youth sports world, and it gets talked about, and we've talked about some of it too, but there is so much positive power that comes from being involved in youth sports. And the statistic that he gave about a young person who can't read in the 3rd grade and a person who can read in the 3rd grade, the difference between their graduation rate without athletics it's off the charts. You put those two same kids into athletics, their graduation rate is the same. And what that tells you is that the opportunity to get an education and make sure that the kid is getting both the education in the classroom and the education that they can get from the classroom for life in athletics is real. And I've never heard that stat before. It was phenomenal. And then the message to coaches. If you've listened to the show, you've heard us beat this drum over and over again, but I'm going to keep beating it. If you are coaching young people, whether that's the 3rd grade Maplewood Crushers, like the first 3rd grade team I coached when I got done at the University of Utah, or you're coaching one of the best high school teams in the state that you live in, having a responsibility of coaching young people is huge. And you should be thinking about why you're doing it. And what is the message that you want those kids to receive every time they walk into the gym, onto the field, wherever you happen to be coaching them? What kind of message do you want them to receive about who they are, how important they are, and what that sport is supposed to be teaching them? And then have a plan. Even if that plan is just a small little daily plan, I think you should start with a full season and a yearly plan and then work backwards. But at the bare minimum, you're a busy person and you're volunteering to coach. Have a plan before you walk into practice. Take 15, 20 minutes of your day before you go see those 3rd graders, 4th graders, 7th graders, to sit down and jot something down about what you're going to do that day. Your practice is going to be more organized. They're going to get more out of it. And at the end of it, you're going to be a happier person. Again, thank you for listening to the show. If you like what we're doing, spread the word. And until next time, make it a great day.